Welcome to the video tutorial on reopening of reports in JEMS. In this video tutorial, we would like to go through the whole reopening flow to explain you which reports you can open when you will have limited reopening, when you have full reopening. So we will go through the entire flow. More details you can read on each type of reopening in the user manual. So what will be covered in this video? The entire reporting flow from beginning to end and what you can reopen and when. The difference between limited reopening and full reopening of different reporting steps. And what will not be covered is alternatives to reopening, such as parking. With parking of expenditure, you can prevent reopening by allowing editing of an item and re-inclusion in a following report. This is already covered in the video tutorial of parking. So the basic principles of reopening. So as I already stated, reopening is either full or limited. If there's no newer report open, most of the items can be changed. If a newer report exists, we protect cumulative data. So we do not allow to change values in older reports that would affect cumulative data of the following report. Project report reopening is then also dependent on the type of report. So a full report blocks both, but a finance report would not block a content report. We'll also later see how. And when reopening a last report, when that is reopened, also the create button is often blocked. And that is done so that reopening does not have to change while you are working on a reopened report. So therefore, we block the create button of a full reopen when a report is fully reopened. You can reopen through the entire reporting flow. So if you're reopening the last report, basically, because the project report is dependent. If you have limited reopening of the project report, you can no longer exclude certificates and therefore no longer reopen partner reports. So this is good to keep in mind. And then also keep in mind that reopening has audit log entries so that it's clear what changes have been made. So let's see how this works in the system. I am now in JEMS, and as you can see, I'm in a project. And I will first show how full reopening works. So this project has a bunch of partners and numerous partner reports and project reports. So what I did, I created a partner report that is certified. And this, as you can see in the overview of the partner report, of course, I'm now an admin, by the way, so I have view over everything. A partner can only see his own page. Also, controllers will be able to see this. So in principle, with reopening, we do not have automatic reopening going automatically from a project report back to reopening a partner report, but this has to be done step by step. So you would have to communicate with the users who have edit right over certain sections to reopen it step by step. So having that said, here is partner report from the lead partner, report 35. As you can see here, it's included in report 52. It's also certified. So if I go then to project reports, the last project report is 52. And it's a finance report. And it's also already verified. So you can also see that in the report. And I'm not allowed to reopen. Because I will now go through the entire flow to reopen that partner report. So as you can see, this is the last partner report and the last project report. So it should be fully reopenable. So as you can see, the button is deactivated for the project report, and it also shows then on the info bubble why this project report cannot be reopened. And that is because there's already payments created for this. This is what I meant with the reopening only works if things are not blocking it. So let's then go to the payment section. And you will see that for this report 52, there's actually a payment. So we would first have to undo the payment here. So I just deleted it. This is of course a bit strange that you would reopen a report that's already paid out, but technically you can delete a payment and later on add it again in the system. So now the payment is gone, authorize the 0 and confirm the 0. So let's now go back to that project report. You can also navigate from here and we can try again to reopen, and you see again that it does not work because it also is blocked if the project report is already included in a payment application to EC. So you can see here also now that the message changed and it says that this project report cannot be opened because the project report is included already in a payment application to the commission. So let's go back to payments, payment to EC. So we were talking about ERDF. There's a draft payment application open, but if this was finalized, I can even finalize it. You can see that you can just set it back to draft. Of course, you would not do this if you already reported this to the commission. That would be strange. Then you would rather just add a correction to the project to correct whatever has to be changed. So let's go have a look at the regular reports, and we can see here that this project has fast track lump sums. We were in project 93, and also here in the project report, that project report 52 was included. So let's exclude it. And then go back to that claim. So we can also click here on the link to jump back to the claim. And let's have a look now if we can actually reopen it. So now you see that the button is active. Of course, this button is only active if you have the privileges, otherwise you wouldn't even see the button. As I said, I'm logged in as an admin, so I can see all the details. So I can now reopen the verification of that project report. So now I jump back to the overview and you see that the status is reopened. So let me go to the verification work. And you can see here that in the expenditure verification, this report is still there. Let me switch to the project report, and you see now that here also the button became active to reopen the project report. So I am now able, you will also see it here in the status flow in the dashboard of the report, I'm able to reopen the project reports. You see now I went a step back and I reopened the project report. So as I was saying, we are in the last project report and the last partner report, so it is everywhere full reopening. Therefore, I'm able to edit numerous things. So as you can see, I can now also exclude that certificate from this project report. And now it is excluded from the project report. So what can I do now is that I can go to that partner report because now it is excluded. So basically this report does no longer contain that partner report. Otherwise, I was not allowed to reopen the partner report. So you can see that this partner report is certified. So I can then go to that certified partner report. Again, if you have the rights, there will be the button to reopen the control report available. If the partner report is included in a project report, I can also briefly show this. So for example, this one is included in a project report. You will see that I'm not allowed to do it because you first have to exclude that certificate from the project report 44 for in this case where it was included. This might, however, not be possible if that project report is limited reopening. I can also show this later because then you're not allowed to exclude certificates anymore because you then touch cumulative data. So let's go back to this last report. And you will see that the control work can be reopened. So I can reopen the control work of this partner report. And now you can see that control work is reopened. So the controller can also make changes if that is needed, if this would be the final step, of course. That goes for every step where I said that it's reopened. So you can see they can make changes again to the report and to the verification. They could set it on 0, park the item, etc. They could also instantiate new checklists, issue new certificates, and resubmit. But let me switch to the partner report. So as you can see, I can now reopen the partner report, and I'm now fully back to the beginning. So now the partner report is reopened, and I'm allowed to edit as a partner, of course, the partner report. So maybe there was a description missing. So let's add the description. Let's add this description. Maybe there was, so something that's good to know, you're not allowed to add new expenditure because this would again change the budget of the partner report. And by adding new expenditure, we propose instead to actually rather add a new report, which can also be included in the same project report, but you can change the existing expenditure. So I could say, well, this was actually not a real cost, but it was a lump sum. So apologies for that. So I've turned this to a lump sum now. And then I can, as a partner, resubmit this partner report. The controller gets a notification as well if you set the notifications. So every reopened status also has a notification. The controller can then open a control work, see what has changed. Okay, so I see that this is now a fast track lump sum. Okay, then I think the amount is not correct. So I could say this is part of the sample and I will set it based on one of the typologies of error that are set up by the program to 6,000 instead of 7,000. And I can then again finalize this control report. So now it is finalized. I could go back to the project report that I reopened. I can then again include that certificate. So now you see that the validated amount is 1,000 and not 7,000. I can re-include that certificate. That has of course completely changed in this case. I could even say, well, I want to upload maybe another annex. So let me upload some annex here. And then I can also submit that report to the program. This is the project report. And then the program can open the verification work and they can have a look at what was declared. So you see this one cost item now here in the project report, and they can also validate it. So maybe they will say that they deduct 500, also give a reason through the typology of errors. And then they can maybe even issue a new checklist. You can look at the overview. You can see that the amounts are newly validated and have changed to 500. So 500 was deducted, so 500 eligible after verification. And then they can finalize the project report again. Now the project report is again finalized with new amounts. I can also then again make new payments. So I could say for this payment, I add the installment back. That was 25. I could even add corrections to that if they are available. I could also authorize that again. I could also confirm, etc. And I can also go back to the outstanding payment application to EC and look at the regular reports, and you will now see that this is the fast track lump sums. If I scroll down, that regular report is again available, but with different amounts. So you see here that this partner had multiple funds, and therefore the total eligible amount is not 500, but 461, because he has a very small percentage of a different fund. He has multiple funds, and only the ERDF share will show here. So that is why you see a different amount than 500. And I can include this back into the payment application, and I can also finalize that payment application. So this is how full reopening works. So now I can also block if I go back to that project, I can also block the full reopening and explain how that works. So I would simply add a new partner report. What is important to know here, so basically, I don't know if that was clear, but this partner report was a finance report. If I would include a content report, then that finance report is still fully reopenable. And that is because content and finance do not block each other, because they consider different type of data, and therefore finance does not need to be reopened limited, but is fully reopenable. If I would change this report not to a content report, but to a finance report or to a full report as well, so say a full report, full project report, so now you see there's much more tabs, then this report becomes limited reopened. For partner report reopening, of course, if that partner report was not included in a certificate, in a project report, you can also do less. You cannot touch finances as much as with full reopening. So also for partner reports, if another partner report exists like such, if I would reopen this report, it would be limited reopened. And that way I'm not able to change the amounts basically and the cost categories and stuff, because that would also have to then play through in the follow-up table. So that is why we block those things. just to prevent that cumulative data gets messed up and we are not aware anymore of how much the partner reported in total. So now if I would like to reopen this report, well, I just made all those payments and installments again, so I will have to undo those first. So this is again also a reminder then that I have to undo the installments. So I have to unauthorize this one for that payment, delete it again. I have to go back to the payment application to EC, set it back to draft, and then go all the way to that project report and exclude it again. If I now go to that project report, you can see that the reopening works again. However, this is limited reopening because, as we said, there's another existing full report available. So that blocks this finance report, and therefore you have now limited reopening. So if I reopen, you will see that now I will be allowed to do less. For the verification, you can still normally validate the amounts. Everything remains the same because that does not affect cumulative tables. If you would reopen the project report, you would go to a limited project report. And this means you cannot include additional certificates. And that way also financial data is protected. And I would also not be able to exclude that certificate anymore. So I cannot reopen this partner report anymore, basically, because it would touch on the financial data. So if I would go now to that partner report, you can see that I cannot reopen because you first have to exclude the certificate from the project report. So this is something to keep in mind. It is perhaps a bit limiting if you would reopen in this case. What you could do instead of that is use parking. So what you could do is as a program user, so let me resubmit that project report, is not to reopen the project report, but simply say as a program, I do not agree with that amount. I'm going to park this amount. And then the partner can re-include this cost item back in the new partner report, correct it fully, include it in a new project report. And that way, this amount will be taken out of the project report and put in the next project report correctly. So that is the way to solve the issue of this limited reopening. And that way also financial data does not get messed up. And then you could also revalidate this report. So that is basically how this limited reopening works. Then for partner reports, if I would like to reopen a limited partner report, so I could, for example, briefly validate this partner report. So now I will have a partner certificate here that is not yet included in a project report. And there's already a project report existing linked to this report 35. So of course, this one cannot be reopened because it's included in a project report. But if I would go to the other one, you will be able to see that I can, we were at the lead partner, reopen this partner report because it was not yet included in a project report. And then you are in a limited reopening state. So let me go to that partner report. You will see that the control work can be adjusted. And that also the partner report can be reopened. And that some data can be changed, which is mainly text fields. New evidence can be uploaded also. Procurements can be added. Expenditure cannot be touched. So as you can see here, there were no expenditure items in this example. So it was of course weird, but it's a test report. So here there would not be any, here would be cost items, but you're not allowed to actually edit them. I think only the comment field is editable, so you could change the comments, but nothing related to financial data. Here also you can see that nothing is editable for the contributions because they also travel to the next report. Annexes can again be uploaded, but yes, so this is limited reopening, which is much more limiting than full reopening. What we did for some programs that requested this on the help desk is to actually say that the privilege of project report creation is a separate privilege. So if you do not like limited reopening, you could simply revoke the right of creating project reports for the lead partner and have only the program user create project reports. And that way you could enforce that there's always only one report open at a time, which can always then be fully reopened. That way you make sure that the lead partner does not block the exclusion of partner certificates, which would then block the full reopening of the partner report. However, as stated before, parking is also always a solution. So you could always park expenditure, which can then be fully corrected. It's also traceable. The ID of the cost item is stored. You can see the original item, compare it with the new included item, and that way it's fully stored. Now, a last thing I can still show you is that in the audit log, that's why I was also logged in as an admin, also all those steps are saved. So I did really a lot, but you can see that, well, the email is not sent because it's a test environment, but if you would set notifications, you would receive emails for those reopening to certain users. So the controller would be aware that the partner report is reopened, or that his work is reopened and that he can rework it. But so basically all those steps are also stored. So you can also see that reopening is fully traceable in the audit log. So this is in a nutshell how the reopening works from beginning to end. And it is important to know when you are in limited reopening, when you are in full reopening, and that there is also other solutions such as parking that can help you out to adjust amounts that were reported incorrectly. If you would ever be stuck with the reopening because things are already reported to the commission, well, then basically what you should do is create a correction for that report or for that project and that partner, saying that there is an ineligible amount that has to be corrected. More about that you can read in the correction section. This is a new feature of the 9th release, but you will be able to read all those details in the user manual. Also about the reopening, there is a status flow in the user manual, so you can see also if you go to the overview of the reports. So in the manual you have this section overview for partner reports, for project reports. You can see the status flow of those reports, and there it is also explained what you can reopen and how.